Hi guys, I'm Daniel. Last week I was able to reach 60 days without porn and masturbation and orgasms for the first time in my life. In this video I'm going to talk about the positive and the negative effects this 60 days NoFap streak had on my life. I decided to share details of my addiction in an unfiltered way, so it's important to know that these videos will include things you may not be comfortable with. Topics such as sexuality, masturbation, orgasms. Before I start, I would like to make very clear that the most important message of this video is that every second of my fight was worth it. I went through some really tough periods during the last 7 years, but it's all worth it. It's 7 years ago that I realized that I'm a porn addict. Guys, please don't give up. The longer you continue this fight, the stronger you will get and the less you will feel alone. The more you learn about yourself and about your addictions, the less you will relapse. Learning is the only way to outsmart your addictions. With the necessary information, relationships and knowledge, you are going to succeed. Without porn, your life is going to be so much richer and so much more fulfilling, so please don't give up. So what are the benefits of my 60 days NoFap streak? The first and the most important is a reduced sexual obsession. I can imagine that all the other benefits are more or less a consequence of this one. Just let me explain it through an example. I have a friend who came second in the World Championship of Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is a first-person shooter. It's a computer game where speed and reflexes are very important. My friend, who is training at least 4 hours a day, told me that if he doesn't play for a week, his performance and especially his reflexes will be much worse than they were a week before. You know, it's the same thing as for athletes. In order to stay in shape, you have to play hours daily, otherwise you will lose your skills. In the case of porn addiction, it's practically the same thing. I think I can say that we, porn addicts, are nursing our beloved ritual every day. And one of the most important consequences of daily porn use is the fact that we become very sensitive to visual stimulation, whatever it may be for us. In other words, if you look around, for example, in the bus, within a fraction of a second you will know where the hottest women sit. High heels, deep cleavage, blondies, redheads, brunettes, anything that can be exciting for you. You don't even have to think, it just happens as a reflex. And just as for my friend, this reflex is going to weaken over time. I feel much less caught up in my head. I rather feel that I belong to the world too. The second benefit is that I enjoy life much more than I did before. Even the very basic daily activities, like doing the dishes, are just cool. It gives me satisfaction. And I often feel fulfilled by getting things done. This benefit is tightly related to the previous one, because due to the decreasing of sexual excitement in my life, there is much more space for other things in my life. The third benefit is that I feel much less shame and social anxiety. Me and my wife are taking dance lessons every Wednesday. Lindy Hop is kind of a swing. It's really cool. There are like 20 of us, men and women, half to half. During the lesson we are constantly changing partners, which means that until the end of the lesson, every man is dancing with every woman. You know, this is a typical situation in which I felt totally freaked out before. But now, I actually really enjoy it. It's really cool. There's a pleasant interaction with others. There is no real sexual energy. And the most liberating aspect of the whole story is that I'm not ashamed. I'm not thinking constantly about what others may think about me if I put on the right clothes, how I may look hopping around with my fat body, whether I'm dancing stupid or not. I just feel great with others, and others feel great with me as well. I don't want to escape, I'm just glad to be there. In other social settings I feel the same way. I'm just happy to be a part of that instead of being afraid of being worried about the reactions of others. The fourth thing is that I have much more energy. I have much more energy for all areas of my life. Earlier, I often felt totally helpless for days. I felt sick both mentally and physically, and I was unable to complete even the most basic daily tasks. And of course I still have difficult days. Some days I do less than I planned, In fact, this happens quite often, given that my expectations for myself are very high. There are no days anymore that I'm not able to do anything at all. The fifth benefit is that I'm much more creative. This is probably due to the fact that my brain works much better, that I have more energy, and I'm less anxious. I could illustrate it the best as follows. Before, my train of thoughts contained like 3-4 associations at most. Nowadays, I often get to 8, 10, 12 associations within a fraction of a second. My thoughts are longer, deeper, more in depth, making me more creative and more likely to work harder than before. The sixth benefit is an increased intimacy between my wife and me. We decided not to engage in sexual activities for the coming period of time, so intimacy is not about having sex. Not engaging in any sexual activity, like no orgasms, no porn, no sex, no masturbation, is called hard mode in NoFap. And that's what we are doing now. Because sex and orgasms can be very triggering for my porn addiction, it's better to heal, to reboot without having sex. So what do I mean by an increased intimacy? Our relationship is much stronger than before. You know, there is a great vibe between us, an unknown vibe of affection. We talk a lot more. We fall asleep in each other's arms every night actually. It just feels like we appreciate each other much more than before. It's really hard to explain, it's almost like a spiritual experience. Our relationship has changed fundamentally. It's more human and more loving. The seventh benefit is a decreased desire to time and life-consuming activities. By these activities, I mean mostly the entertaining activities. Things I can be a part of without giving any input. Activities during which I can stay totally passive. For me, these are TV shows, watching YouTube videos for hours, endless browsing. It still happens sometimes that I turn on the PC just to look something up in 2 minutes. And then 2 hours later I just question myself what I was gonna look up? But these things don't happen often anymore. Actually, I didn't browse at all in like 2 weeks. Living a real life just becomes more and more interesting for me, instead of being connected digitally all the time. The eighth benefit is an increased hair growth. I can't really add anything to this one. I shave more often and my hair, and especially my beard, became thicker and darker. The ninth benefit is spontaneous erections. This one is not necessarily an advantage, but is still a nice reflection on the fact that my body is changing. These were the benefits. Let's take a look at the negative effects I experienced. The first one is that I have much less control over my emotions. I was 5 years old when I discovered orgasms, and soon masturbation and eating became the most important numbing and survival mechanisms of my life. By these numbing habits that later became addictions, I was able to survive the traumatic events I was going through as a child. I look at my addictions as a button. By pushing that button, by masturbating or eating, I was able to numb emotions. I was able to create a much stronger emotion than the emotion I was going to numb. Orgasm is the strongest natural emotion, is the strongest natural high you can produce. It can be stronger than fear and anxiety. Shortly after discovering orgasms, it became my safest shelter. At age 7, I had anywhere between 7 and 10 orgasms a day. This amount of orgasms was equal to the amount of anxiety I experienced that time. The reason that it took 7 years for me to get to 60 days without orgasm and porn is that I didn't know how to deal with the anxiety and the tension that was coming up. Because you know, these emotions were still there. I didn't feel them because I was numbing myself, but they were there. But at some point they had to come to the surface. And the fact that I'm now sober for more than 60 days means that I'm able to deal with these emotions better than before. It can be still really difficult to handle them, but it also delights me with satisfaction and joy that I'm changing. The second disadvantage is that I'm sleeping bad. During the last 2 weeks, I had more nightmares than before. I wake up more often than before and I just feel tense in the morning and in the evening as well. This is a very common withdrawal symptom, so I expect it to pass with time. The third thing is that I have more mood swings. One day I'm hyperactive as hell and anxiety free, and the next day I can feel totally hopeless and unable to do anything. As I said, I have less and less inactive days, and I can deal with these mood swings quite alright. But it's not pleasant that my everyday life is somewhat unpredictable. That's it for today. If you have any questions, advices, tips, or anything on your mind you would like to share with me and with us, please leave a comment below. And don't be afraid to click on the subscribe button. I'm going to upload videos about my NoFap journey and weight loss regularly. I see you soon, guys.